Over the past few months, people have been criticizing the World Health Organization for praising the glorious nation of China. There is a specific video I was looking for, but I can no longer find, where Dr. Tedros, the president of the World Health Organization, was asked whether or not he has some sort of loyalty to China. His response is bizarre. He takes off his earpiece, shrugs for a minute, says that he didn't hear the question, and then after a few seconds, maybe about half a minute, and then he replies with a nothing answer that is typical of a lot of these professional scientists, these experts we've heard so much about. Remember, it's these experts that we need to drop everything for and believe no matter what, because science is on their side and you can never question an expert. But we won't be talking about Dr. Ted today. Unfortunately, the clip I was referring to can't really be found, but if you do have it, be sure to send it to me on Twitter or email it to me. But instead, there was a video clip that went viral yesterday featuring Bruce Aylward of the World Health Organization. In the clip, this Bruce Aylward was really careful about acknowledging Taiwan. Just how far will they go to carry water for China, a nation that is responsible for some of the worst things I've seen in my life? Remember, there are still Muslim internment camps. While all this is going on, no one cares about that. But to be fair, no one cared about that before either. That's neither here nor there. The video clip speaks for itself. Let's roll that footage.
Will the WHO consider Taiwan's membership? Hello?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear your question.
Okay, yeah. Let me repeat the question.
No, that's okay. Let's move to another one then.
Right, because I'm actually curious on talking about Taiwan as well, on Taiwan's case. And I just want to see if you can comment a bit on how Taiwan has done so far in terms of containing the.
Well, we've already talked about China, and when you look across all the different areas of China, they've actually all done quite a good job. So with that, I'd like to thank you very much for inviting us to participate, and good luck as you go forward with the battle in Hong Kong.
Paired with the legitimate misinformation and propaganda from the Chinese Communist Party, everything is starting to become clear. Now, here's where things get interesting, because if you go to the World Health Organization, or even better, you go to Google, you type in this man's name, Bruce Aylward, you are shown this. If you click on the top link, which should lead to his profile in their directory on their website, you are instead sent to a page that does not list him. They've already removed him. He might as well change his name to Chen Kashi at this point. I'm curious, is he still around? Do we know that he hasn't been disappeared in real life? The haste for which the Chinese Communist Party ran to the computer to remove this person from existence just speaks volumes, doesn't it? The World Health Organization tells us that these are the good guys. They did everything just right. Like welding people into their apartments, kidnapping people out of their homes, incinerating people while they're still alive. I mean, the right type of stuff to do. Stuff that would be considered barbaric by the average person. That type of behavior applauded by all the experts over at the World Health Organization. Another reminder, I can't be emphatic of this enough, that these are the experts we need to listen to, that we're not allowed to question. It seems like that not allowed to question thing really runs deep. This reminds me of the whole Blizzard fiasco involving Blizzard and a professional Hearthstone player called Bitchute. This was during the Hong Kong protests, and Bitchute supported the Hong Kong protest, and he was banned from Blizzard from attending. Now, this led to a lot. There was a high-profile NBA player that stood behind him. I forget who it was. People everywhere started coming forward to say, look, we need to defend the glory of the nation of China. I remember at one point Blizzard referred to China as their glorious homeland and that its pride needed to be defended no matter what the cost. You don't really need to defend your pride if you're not insecure. Someone should go and tell Winnie the Pooh that. My mistake. I know that's a point of contention right now, the naming of this thing, so we'll just call it the Great Leap Fluward. If you thought that China hasn't had its fingers in our infrastructure for years, you're kidding yourself. Take the movie industry, for example. Every movie that is made, Star Wars, superhero movies, they're made specifically to appeal to the Chinese market, which is where they make more money. It turns out that Chinese and American markets like different things about movies, so this has led to what a lot of people perceive to be a decline in quality in American Hollywood movies. They've been pretty bad for a while now. So bad that I don't even watch TV or movies. It's a waste of time. I wanted to share with you another clip though. This is from, I don't even know. I'm gonna roll the footage and you can decide where this message probably came from.
In many movies, one single American can save the world. However, in reality, when the mankind facing a big crisis, it is China who stands out and save the world. Up to now, we have helped 82 countries and organizations worldwide. Among them, some are our old friends, but some are not so friendly to us before. But still, we decided to stretch out our helping hands to all of them, because for many of these countries, China is their last and only hope. Without the help from China, they probably will never be able to survive this pandemic. So that's why we say, today's China is more than the country itself. It is very much part of Asia as well as the world.
I love how condescending this video is. Oh no, I'll have you know that China is doing more for the world than anybody right now. You know, by sending defective masks, you know, by having their journalists and reporters and doctors still missing in action. All those people that disappeared in the middle of the night, if they weren't purposely put on the front lines to deal with redacted. It's really crazy, isn't it? The stuff we have seen with our own two eyes, and here they are trying to revision what we have seen for ourselves. I'm sorry, China, but if you weld people shut into their houses, that's pretty evil. Never in my life have I seen an act of charity from the nation of China. At least a genuine one. And no, sending people defective masks seemingly on purpose does not count. It also doesn't count to give the rest of the world fake numbers when dealing with a serious catastrophe like this. That is not helping a bro out. China has been known for being heavy-handed and authoritarian for decades. My entire life, I've never heard anybody legitimately praise China. They are all expected publicly to praise this nation for doing things that are obviously horrible. Even if they didn't flub the numbers, even if they didn't harass people in positions of power into lying to everybody, even if they didn't weld their citizens shut into their apartments, even if those videos of them sending people who are still alive into the incinerator are fake, if you brush all of that aside, they're still not inherently good. The nation, I mean, not the citizens. In fact, one of the main frustrations I have seen from this whole thing is how bad of a deal the Chinese citizens have got out of this whole thing. I really do wish they had the authority to do something about it. They're trying hard enough to not be detected as having a fever, let alone have to worry about getting disappeared in the middle of the night. I'm sure you can conclude, like I did, where a lot of these messages are coming from. The narrative shift, I mean. It's been everywhere. I'm sure you've even seen it on cable news if you're still watching. Ever since all of this got out, back at the end of January, the Chinese Communist Party has worked tirelessly to shift the blame. Not to take care of its citizens, not to help the new nations that are dealing with it, but to claim without any sort of evidence that an alphabet agency was behind this, that the US government was behind this. If they produced the smallest amount of proof, I'd be willing to listen to them. But considering the source, I don't really trust them. It would not surprise me in the slightest, though. I'm skeptical about most of the claims made out there in the world, but if there's anybody I'm going to need a little bit of proof from, it's the Chinese Communist Party. I do understand the position that Mr. Bruce Aylward was put in. As an employee of the World Health Organization, the last thing he would want to do is do something controversial, something that could harm his career and his future. At the same time, seeing the distress it clearly gave him showcases the priorities that they have over at the World Health Organization. They care more about refusing to acknowledge a nation. They care more about stoking their pride than they do actually taking care of business. Right now, it's about shifting the blame. It's not about fixing things or helping people worldwide. Millions of people they should be concerned with trying to help. They find it more important to point the finger rather than pick up the pieces. I didn't need this latest faux pas to be under the belief that the World Health Organization is firmly placed beneath China's thumb. And maybe this is an example of confirmation bias, but it seems clear to me. All of these experts, all of these big-time scientists whose credibility we're not allowed to question, this is who they represent. They will walk to the ends of the earth in order to preserved the pride and the glory of the great nation of China, probably their homeland too. Just like with Blizzard, there's so much money to be made in the communist market that these capitalist entities are bending the knee. Because remember, in a capitalist country, money is king. Money talks, right? BS walks. And unfortunately, even though they are ideologically opposed, these two entities work together. The profits they seek to make are just too great. Their loyalty isn't necessarily tied to the great, glorious nation of China, but rather the money that they hold. For the World Health Organization, I don't think it's much different. That'll be it for today. Remember everyone, stay safe, but more importantly, stay smart.